Picture this. You're standing inside a $10 million home. You've got the floor-to-ceiling glass, an ocean view that just doesn't quit, a private gate, the whole 9 yards. This is the dream, right? This is the pinnacle of success, a giant physical symbol that you have well and truly made it. But today, we're going to pull back that custom-made curtain on the dream.
Because that beautiful home, that fortress of achievement you're picturing, it works a lot like a high-end subscription service, one you can never, ever cancel. Every single month, every single year, it's quietly and relentlessly pulling money out of your accounts, not because you're in trouble, but just because the asset itself is incredibly expensive to exist. So today, we are breaking down the part of luxury real estate that never ever makes it to the Instagram feed, the hidden financial machine that shows why it might not be worth it, even if you can technically afford it.
Before we jump in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down the luxury illusion itself. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty numbers behind that subscription you can't cancel. After that, we're going to explore something called the illiquidity trap, look at the surprisingly high cost of selling, and finally, we'll untangle the huge difference between psychology and real investment.
Okay, so the first thing you absolutely have to understand is this. Luxury real estate isn't just a bigger, fancier version of a regular house. It operates in a totally different world, with its own buyer psychology and a completely different set of financial rules. And thinking it's the same game just with more zeros on the price tag, well, that's the first and the most expensive mistake people make.
Let's put a real number to this so you know what we're talking about. Nationally, as of late 2023, the starting line for the luxury market, and that's defined as the top 10% of home prices, was about $1.19 million. Now let's be super clear. This is not the price of some mega mansion in Beverly Hills. This is just the national ticket price to even get into the luxury game in the US. In places like New York or California, that number is obviously a whole lot higher.
And this is where you start to see the cracks in the armor. You hear all the time about how the regular housing market is sticky, with prices staying stubbornly high. But the luxury segment, it plays by different rules. That $1.19 million entry point I just mentioned was actually down a bit year over year. This is your first clue that the very top of the market can get shaky and see price corrections even when the rest of the market doesn't. You're playing in a much more volatile arena.
And this number is critical. 88 days. That was the median time it took for a luxury home to find a buyer. So why is that so important? Well, because in the world of high-end real estate, time is literally money. Every single one of those 88 days can mean thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, in carrying costs just flying out the window. The longer that for sale sign is up, the more that subscription fee is just eating away at your bottom line. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the silent killer of wealth in high-end homeownership. I'm talking about carrying costs. The constant financial bleed that most buyers, who are totally blinded by the glamour of the purchase, just completely ignore. This is the engine that powers that subscription you can never, ever turn off.
So to get our bearings, let's just start with the general market. A Zillow report found that the average hidden costs of just owning a home, things like maintenance, insurance, property taxes, can average over $16,000 a year for a typical U.S. home. That's over $1,300 a month on top of your mortgage, just to keep the lights on and the roof over your head. And in expensive cities on the coasts, you can easily double that number. And believe me, that's not some weird outlier. A totally separate report from Bankrate found those hidden expenses can top $21,000 a year. The exact number isn't the point. The point is the trend. Even for a normal home, the cost of just existing in it is a massive 5-figure annual bill. Now, just try to imagine scaling that up, not in a straight line, but exponentially, to the luxury level.
And that's why this metaphor is just perfect. Owning a luxury property isn't about one huge, painful expense hitting you out of the blue. No, it's about a relentless, never-ending series of smaller costs that just bleed you dry over time. It's the multi-thousand-dollar monthly property tax bill, the specialized insurance, the landscaping crew, the pool guy, the security system subscription, the property manager. You see, each one by itself seems kind of manageable, but all together, they create a serious financial hemorrhage.
So what does luxury scale really mean when the rubber meets the road? It's exponential. You've got way more square footage to heat, cool, and clean. You have these complex custom systems, infinity pools, private elevators, sophisticated smart home tech that all need specialized, expensive maintenance contracts. The materials themselves are premium. Imported marble, custom woods, which means the guys who know how to fix them also charge a premium. You're not running down to Home Depot for a replacement part. Then you stack on top of that the massive landscaping, private security, maybe some household staff, and property management fees. These costs don't just add up, they multiply.
Now let's just pull one of those costs out of the pile, because it's become a total wild card recently, especially at the high end: insurance. For a long time, this was just a predictable expense you budgeted for. Not anymore. In many of the top luxury markets, insurance has become a volatile, unpredictable, and frankly, a huge problem that can kill a deal or add tens of thousands to your annual subscription. And this slide lays out the problem perfectly. In high-risk areas, we're talking wildfire zones in California or hurricane zones in Florida, insurance isn't just getting more expensive. In some places, you can't even get it. Major insurers are pulling out of these markets completely. This has led to premiums just skyrocketing for anyone who can still get coverage. And the reality for a lot of high-net-worth buyers is that they're forced into these last-resort state plans, or they have to self-insure, which adds a whole new layer of catastrophic risk. The old idea that you can just get insurance is dangerously out of date.
Before we continue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent in your market or you need life insurance. My team and I can help you anywhere nationwide.
All right, this brings us to a really critical concept in finance that is disastrously overlooked in real estate: illiquidity. You see, an illiquid asset is just something you own that you can't easily turn back into cash without taking a huge loss. And in the world of multi-million-dollar homes, your beautiful asset can very quickly become a very expensive and very inescapable prison.
This slide just illustrates the problem perfectly. Let's say you're selling a $400,000 home. You are fishing in a massive ocean with a giant net. There are millions of potential buyers. Now you move up to a $5 million home. Okay, the pool of qualified buyers gets a lot smaller. You're fishing in a lake now, not an ocean. But when you get to a $20 million property, you are basically fishing with a spear. You're looking for one specific person at one specific time who wants your unique house and has the cash to buy it. And that, my friends, is the definition of an illiquid market.
And you can see it right here in the data. This chart shows the huge difference in how long it takes to sell. A typical home might be gone in a few weeks, but we already know that luxury homes are sitting for a median of almost 3 months. And remember, that's the median, which means half of them are sitting even longer than that. And all the while, that subscription of carrying costs, taxes, insurance, maintenance, it just keeps charging your account month after month after month. If you ever need to sell fast, luxury is probably the worst asset class you can be in.
Okay, so let's say you wait it out, you're patient, and you finally find that one buyer with the spear. Great. Now we have to talk about the painful price of actually getting out the door. The financial cost of selling a luxury property is something people massively underestimate when they buy. It's not just about the agent's commission. It's a whole other layer of serious costs. Los Angeles gives us a perfect painful example with what they call the mansion tax. Just look at these numbers. If you sell a home between $5 and $10 million, there is an extra 4% tax. On a sale over $10 million, it jumps to 5.5%. So on a $10 million sale, you are paying an extra $550,000 in tax right off the top. That's on top of everything else. The politics of it don't matter for this conversation. The financial reality is that it's a massive toll booth on your way out.
And that's just one piece of it. The friction of a luxury exit includes a ton of other costs. You've got these special taxes. You have staging and marketing budgets that can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars just to attract that one buyer. You've got those extended carrying costs you're paying every single month the home sits on the market. And finally, because the buyer pool is so small, you often see huge negotiating spreads. Buyers will come in with a lowball offer because they know you don't have a line of people waiting outside. Sellers end up paying a very steep price for liquidity.
Now, some people think, okay, I'll just buy a luxury condo to avoid all these problems. Right? It seems like the easy button. Less maintenance, you can just lock the door and leave, but this introduces a completely different and sometimes even more dangerous kind of risk. It's a hidden landmine related to the building's finances and who's running the show.
Here's the critical point. When you buy a luxury condo, you're not just buying your apartment. You are buying a non-voting share in a multi-million-dollar business. You're buying the building's balance sheet, all its debts and its assets. You are betting on a volunteer condo board to make smart financial decisions. And you're exposed to rising HOA fees and the real killer, a massive special assessment. That's when a multi-million-dollar repair comes due and there's no money in the bank to pay for it. All of a sudden, you and every other owner could be getting a bill for 50 or 100 grand. You can do everything right with your own unit and still lose a fortune because the building itself is the problem.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. We have to untangle the real reason people buy these homes. We have to separate the powerful emotional psychology from the cold, hard math of a financial investment. Because trust me, they are very, very rarely the same thing.
You hear it all the time, but luxury prices are going up. It's a great investment. And yeah, sometimes they do. But price appreciation is not the same thing as a real return. Real return is the only number that matters. It's the actual cash you put in your pocket after you subtract every single cost we've talked about today. Think about it. You buy for $10 million, you sell for $12 million. You made $2 million, right? Wrong. From that $2 million, you have to subtract years of property taxes, insurance, maintenance, staff. Then you subtract the huge marketing budget, the commissions, the transfer taxes, and the big one, the opportunity cost. What could that $10 million have been earning you somewhere else all those years? When you do the real math, the real return is often shockingly low or even negative.
And this gets us to the blunt truth. An identity purchase is driven by emotion. It's about status. It's about family. It's about legacy. It tells the world, I've made it. A financial investment is driven by math. It's about liquidity, cash flow, and real return. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with an identity purchase as long as you're honest with yourself that that's what it is. The danger is when you try to justify a massive lifestyle purchase by calling it a smart investment.
This quote right here, this is the ultimate test. Just let that sink in for a second. Would you still want this asset if it were totally anonymous? If you couldn't post a picture of it, if you couldn't have parties there, if nobody you knew ever saw it, if its only value was its financial performance, its cash flow, its liquidity, its real return, would you still write that check? If the answer is no, then it's probably not an investment. It's a status symbol. And that's fine, but they are two very different things. So if your real goal is to build lasting wealth, what's the smarter move? Well, the strategy is to own assets that have better liquidity and lower operating costs. It might mean buying a primary home that you can very comfortably afford, not one that stretches you to the absolute limit. It could mean investing in a portfolio of boring but effective rental properties. Or, and this is the one a lot of people don't want to hear, it might mean renting that luxury lifestyle you want for a month, for a year, while you own the assets that produce the cash flow to easily pay for it. You get to enjoy the luxury without being handcuffed to the liability.
Before we wrap up, if you want more real estate breakdowns with real numbers just like this, like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to check the links in the description if you're looking for a real estate agent referral in your market or life insurance options.
So, I will leave you with this one simple question to ask yourself before you ever sign that dotted line. Are you buying a home and a place to build memories? Or are you buying an expensive, high-maintenance problem that just happens to look really, really good on camera? The honest answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.